So there was no vaccine nor antibiotics to fight secondary bacterial infections, which led a lot of the people to um, to go into non-pharmaceutical measures and preventative strategies. And these include a lot of things that we're doing today, like isolation and quarantining for people with and without the disease. And a lot of things like public gatherings were also banned, so like assemblies. And then like schools, theater, saloons, like a lot of like small businesses were shut down or like actually chose to shut down. And then health departments from the state and like from local health departments were closed, which led to kind of a worse impact on the flu because people couldn't learn about it, and a lot of people weren't being able to treat it because where they worked at like a health department was closed. And then also a lot of gatherings like funerals were only given like about 10 minutes. It was really interesting how like such important things to people were limiting time.
So the efforts by like the specific cities and states were really left up to local mayors and officials, because like as we talked about before, there wasn't really a vaccine or like a globalized or like nationalized real like cure or way to treat it. So it turned like it was very different in very different places. For example, as we talked about yesterday in Philadelphia, they took response measures like way too late. And we actually found out that was because the director of public health and charities there said that the high fatalities were just a result of the normal flu, not the Spanish flu. And so that's why they went on with that parade. And that's why so many people died. And then only after that did they close the saloons and theaters. But then other places like St. Louis, they took those response measures really like proactively, and closed things down early. And so the impact in places like that was not nearly as bad. And then at the bottom, we just have a link. There's a New York Times article about about an analysis of when cities in 1918 closed all their stuff down and kind of compares it to today. And we kind of saw that just the guy who was writing the article, he thought that we could learn a lot about the 1918 pandemic, and this was written a few weeks ago. And he thought the matter of like how well we handle it today is really dependent on like how early we take those measures and the public compliance with those measures of like social distancing and staying away. Because he found too that like in times like that, there was a bunch of army bases that urged a lot of the social distancing and quarantine measures before the rest of the country, but most of the bases didn't really follow the rules too rigidly, so it had little to no effect. So it also had effect, as we kind of learned about in the last presentation, but on many like local businesses and governments. So a lot of the governments, because there was no vaccine or anything, didn't really know how to act and were really slow to act. So in turn, a lot of the measures were just kind of taken by the people who were in charge of like commerce and social interactions and different areas within their own cities and their own area and their own districts. And also, as we said before, a lot of the state and the local health departments, they didn't really know what to do and didn't really, and eventually had to shut down. And many farmers also got affected, and there a lot of times wasn't enough people who were willing to work the farms. So there was a lot of food shortages, and people weren't even getting food in their homes. And a lot of other establishments would shut down, and similar to today, would like set the number of people who were allowed in at a time, or they would like keep the window open or leave the food outside on a table for you to pick up, or stores would leave stuff outside for you to pick up so that they didn't have to actually have contact with you. And some towns and a lot of like railroads actually you had to have a required signed health ticket or health certificate to be allowed on. And I thought that was interesting too, because I feel like it's kind of similar to before when they were the security was like taking people's temperatures before they got on planes, so that, and if they had a fever, they had to get like detained. So
Yeah, that's an interesting comparison.